Alright guys, today we're going to do a short lesson on pedigrees. And no, we're not talking about the dog food. What a pedigree is in biology, it's basically a chart that shows all the family relationships, and then it can also show if you have a particular genetic trait or a genetic disorder, and then it can also show like the probability of you having a particular trait. So kind of think of it as a family tree, except it's a little bit more detailed. Okay, so here are the symbols that you'll see on a pedigree. Typically, circles are always females and squares are always males. Okay, some things, and I'm using the word normal here, so just use that kind of lightly. Okay. This could mean either they have this means that they don't have the trait, more than likely. Okay, if it is colored in, that means they have the trait, and if they are a carrier, that means they're probably heterozygous for that condition. So like have brown eyes but carry the gene for blue eyes, if you know what I mean. Okay, and then they put a line through these. That means that that family member is deceased, because obviously they're still in your family tree, they're still in your pedigree if they're no longer with us. And a lot of times these are important to be in there, especially if it's a genetic disorder that they died from. Okay, now it can get much more complicated than that. If you look at these, divorces are in here, consanguineous mating, which means you marry a cousin or some other family member, and then if for adoptions and twins and different things like that. But for our purposes, we're going to use the circles and squares and lines in the middle and so forth. Okay, so as this example here, let me show you how this works with just male-female. So you remember from our karyotype lesson that XX is female, XY is a guy. So if you do this Punnett square here, okay, this one would be a female, this one would be a female, this would be a male, this would be a male. Come on. Okay, so what you notice here is a 50-50 chance you're going to have a male, and 50-50 you're going to have a female. So remember, circles are girls. Let's see if one will come with me. I don't know why it's not cooperating. Okay, so a girl, a boy, and a boy. Okay, so how that works is the line in between shows a marriage, or at least that they've had children. Okay, and all these are connected at the top. That means they're siblings. And something that's also more appropriate to do, you're supposed to put the oldest here and the youngest one here. Okay, all right, so here is an example of a pedigree. This is my immediate family here. Okay, and this is me. So if we can kind of go through this and you can figure it out, this would obviously be my husband. Okay, these are my two sons. Ryan is 4 years older than Adam, so we'll put him on the left. Okay, this person over here, see how we're connected at the top, that is my sister, Carrie. I forgot to make a little title for her. So let me just put sis. Okay. She is divorced currently, so we should have two lines in between there, but they never had children, so that doesn't really matter. Okay, then who would this person be? This is our mother, okay, and our dad, and these two are my grandparents, but they're my mom's parents, so they were German. Oma is German for grandma, and Opa's German for grandpa. Okay, so unfortunately, we have some people who are no longer with us. Oma, Opa, and even my mom. Okay, so this would be my pedigree here. Okay. On the left, it shows generation numbers. So Ryan and Adam are the 4th generation of this particular pedigree. And if they would have children, then they'll be the 5th generation, and so on. Okay, so these numbers can obviously change. Like if I added Oma's parents or Opa's parents, then obviously these would all change. Okay, so that's how simple a pedigree can actually be. All right, let's skip around on some of these. Okay, so this one was like a pedigree of dogs, just being tall or short. So you can kind of see the traits there, 4 generations, and we'll talk about these later. This is a pedigree of Huntington's disease. And if you guys remember from your genetic disorder assignment, Huntington's disease is actually a dominant gene. So if you have one bad H, you're kind of screwed. Okay, so if you have one bad age, there's already a 50% chance that your child is going to have Huntington's disease. And we'll talk more about that later. But see, here's a pretty big family. Let's just do some general things. Parents, right? And then they had 5 children. 4 children. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, you don't count this one, or this one as a child because it is not connected to that line. Okay, so don't make that mistake. If they ask you how many kids are in this second generation here, you can't just count them all. You have to count the ones that are connected to these parents. Okay, and we'll do more on that later. All right, so here's some simple pedigrees here, and I want to give you a hint. Do you see how there's only 3 colored in this entire pedigree? That is your hint that this is a recessive disorder or a recessive trait because there aren't very many. Okay, so what this represents here is generation 3, person 3. So this would be generation 3, person 3. See how she is colored in here. So it wants you to identify it as homozygous, dominant, recessive, or heterozygous. Well, if she's colored in and we know this is recessive, then she's going to be recessive. Okay? All right, person 2, 1, 2, 1. See, there's nothing there, so that's going to make you think it's just completely dominant. But what you got to realize is this person here is recessive, right? So let me just use like a little a, little a. So what did she have to give this, have to give this person is a little a, but the mom is completely not colored in, right? So she has to be big A, so she had to give this person big A, little a. All right? So how would we describe person 2, 1? They would be heterozygous. Okay? Person 1, 1, colored in, talked about him already, it's recessive. And then person 2, 4, okay, it looks like she's completely dominant. However, you see how her son and daughter here have this trait? So it had to be gotten from somewhere, okay? So this one here could be heterozygous, okay? Because they both have to be. Person 3 and person 4 have to be heterozygous in order for their kids 3 and 4 to have it. Okay, is this trait dominant or recessive? It's absolutely recessive because there's only 2 people in there. Or, sorry, 3 people in the chart that have it. And then how can we know for sure that 2, 3 and 2, 4 are heterozygous? That's the ones we talked about, 2, 3 and 2, 4. They have to be heterozygous, otherwise these 2 children could not have that particular gene. Okay? All right, let's see if we can see another one coming up here. All right, let's try this one. What are the genotypes of the 2 boys in generation 3? Okay, these guys here, what do you think? Because if this one is big A, little a, and this one's little a, I guarantee you they must be heterozygous, otherwise they wouldn't be colored in. Okay, what are the possible genotypes of the grandmother? She could be big A, little a, or big A, big A. All right. Okay, and I'm going to give you some of these questions to practice in a Google form. I've kind of changed them around a little bit, made it really easy. So that's all I need you to do for now. Remember, circles are girls, squares are boys, lines in between means they're married or had children, lines above means they're siblings. Okay? Email me if you have any questions. Thank you.